1.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good, man.
Yeah, that would be awful. But the Sharks' tragic number is down to 3 after a losing by 3 to the Desert Dogs. We'll quickly break this one down and get you set for Pucknologist at 7 p.m. right now. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. April 7th, 2024. The Sharks lose 5 to the Desert Dogs from Arizona. We welcome you to Teal Town After Dark. This will be a truncated version. You will get the full Pucknologist at 7 p.m. But for right now, this is your live interactive Sharks post game. We do this after every game, so we part of the show. Chat with us and fellow hockey fans all over the world and in Sharks territory. Always follow us on the social. Smash that subscribe button on YouTube. Find everything at tealtownusa.com. And we want to support the pod, hit us up on Venmo at tealtownusa or hit us up in the super chat on the live feed. If you're watching us after the show is done, leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear what you thought of tonight's game. And with that, I'll ask Ian Reed what he thought of tonight's game. How are you, bud?
Good. I do my best not to get us in trouble and try and stick to the game as best I can. Look, the game was a game. I mean, it was the second night. It was a game. I mean, how else do you describe things at this point, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, look at this is a team that played yesterday, went into overtime, short turnaround, played today against the Coyotes team. You know, another team who, I mean, the Blues are the Blues shouldn't make the playoffs. I mean, no one should pretend they deserve to make the playoffs. I think for as good as their record has been, and I'll get back to tonight's game, I promise. I think as good as their record has been in the last, thing, they just keep losing to teams like the Sharks, right?
Right.
Which brings us to today. Sharks, I thought they started off well enough, but again, a short turnaround after playing a team in the Blues. And I think as the game progressed, the legs under them went with it as long as the game went, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the story of the game to me is, the Sharks started off strong, but couldn't finish strong. And I think, you see the scroll up top, right? You're going to look at Mackenzie Blackwood's numbers, and I think they're fine, but I don't think he's finished the season particularly strong. Mm-hmm. And I think that coming into next season, obviously Vanecek's going to be the other goalie, and I think that competition is going to do Blackwood a lot of good because I feel like after Kakinen left, he hasn't been terrible, but he hasn't been, you know what I mean? Like he hasn't been as good as he was earlier in the season when him and Kakinen were kind of battling it out.
But the thing is that there's no competition, but he's also been injured,
Yeah.
After the deadline, Krona played a boatload afterwards, and Cooley got a cup of coffee as well. So, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, look at good for Cooley to get his first win yesterday.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was super awesome, right? But let's not pretend that he's super nipping at Blackwood's heels for starts here.
Yeah, no.
I'm not trying to diss the guy, but let's call it for what it is.
Right. Dave, you are correct, actually, and thank you for that. So the tragic number is 4 points. I took in the solace that if the Hawks get one more win, then the Sharks can't match that win total, either regulation wins or overall clinch the third or the second worst record in the league in this year's draft. So you can get excited for that. Of course, Pittsburgh has decided to go on a heater and is going to, go to the Stanley Cup final now.
You want to talk about things that like make no sense? Like the East has been the West playoffs. Like I think the last time we were on, was it me and you or was it me and Landy? I can't remember.
It might have been you and
My
Landy,
last,
but go
but
ahead.
I think how like the West, like I think it was me and Landy, and I think kind of commenting on like there was at least races both conferences this year. That's over in the West. The West is settled. It's now it's an issue of where's everyone gonna finish, right?
Right.
Because like I can't take the St. Louis Blues seriously if they keep losing to the Sharks. So I'm sorry, St. Louis. I refuse to take you seriously. So to me, the West is settled. The West is settled as far as which teams are making it. Now, what order they finish in, obviously, that's not settled. That still will have to be settled as the games go on. But if you look at the East is absolutely fascinating because obviously you have a team like the Flyers who are there. Like again, I think if you look at two teams that are going to be really angry if they miss. The Flyers were there all year, and now they're falling out. Right. Detroit's there now, but as you say, Pittsburgh nipping at their heels.
Right.
The run the Penguins have gone on, it's fascinating stuff, right? And the Capitals are right there.
Yeah. It's a crazy race,
now
to be quite honest.
Again, you want to talk about teams that it's hard to take seriously. Like the Capitals are on a 3-game losing streak now. I don't think the Capitals are a good team. The Islanders are now 3rd in the Metro. I mean, it's been crazy what can change in a week.
All to decide whether or not you want to get destroyed by Carolina or by the Rangers. That's kind of how I look at it, or the Panthers for that matter.
Yeah.
Detroit at 84. What they beat Buffalo today. Pittsburgh at 83. Flyers at 83. Washington at 82. I mean, if you want to throw some hope on the Buffalo, but I don't think so.
I think they're too far out. Stranger things have happened, but Buffalo hasn't done anything all year that makes me think that they're about to go on a run. Like the Penguins are like 6-2-2, right? The Sabres are playing 500 hockey. Like they're like the Devils. I'm not taking them seriously at this point.
No, they're
the Blues. Like they're out of it.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh is hanging in there, even though they're outside looking in right now. They would currently hold the 14th position, which would automatically go to the Sharks in that sense for that pick for the Erik Karlsson trade. So something to be interested in with that crazy Eastern Conference race for sure.
It's just crazy though, because it's like 2 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, a week ago, I don't even remember now. Like we were talking about like, oh, is Pittsburgh going to give us that pick? Like if this thing's out of the lottery, and it's ours.
Yeah. So there it is. Indeed, unless they get lucky,
and they could go. Who knows? Maybe the wheels completely fall off there, and we're talking about that in a week again. Because, how is it the 7th and there's still so much hockey left? Like, I feel like the playoffs are starting way too late this year.
And there's been talk about that, but the owners love starting later in October. No, start October 1st. Get it done by October. Get it done by this weekend. And then start the playoffs. I mean, that's how I look at it. So let's go.
I don't care. Like, what am I worried about? Like, there's
playoffs.
Well, I mean, I love. Don't get me wrong. We don't watch a ton of playoff hockey, but I mean, I have no rooting interest this year in it.
It'll be fun. That's what makes it.
It's always fun for sure. I just don't really have a dog in the fight this year. I feel like there's no one that like every once in a while, you get like a team where like I don't know, you just want to see like good thing happened for last year. I think it was Florida, right? But like that was last year,
right?
Fuck the Panthers now.
Now the Panthers can win the President's Trophy, so.
Right? Like I mean, so they're not like. So I'll see who like maybe who that team is this year for me, who I kind of just latch on to and bandwagon to the end.
Yeah. Fair enough. The playoffs will be fun indeed. As for today, let's recap what you just saw. You saw Lawson Krause get his 22nd of the year, even though he's been on quite a schneid level. I think it was like his 3rd goal in the last 30 games to get the Desert Ducks going 1-0. But a minute later, the Sharks get a power play, and fancy pass from Mikael Granlund right to Thrun, who just grips it and rips it home to tie it up at 1.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice. It was a nice pass by Granlund. I mean, Granlund again. One of the I think I don't want to say unsung heroes, because I think he's been pretty sung at this point. But a guy who, again, at the start of the season, I didn't think much of Mikael Granlund being on this team. I thought he was just kind of like a cap casualty, and I still think that was the play there. Like, something had to move from Pittsburgh's thing to make Erik Karlsson work. So I think, I think he was definitely a cap casualty in that sense. But
Right.
I mean, he's been great for the Sharks this year, and I'm kind of glad that he's sticking around next year, so that this team maybe can become somewhat watchable next year, right? Because I think at some point I just want watchable hockey again. Like, it's really sad, man. When you see SAP Center now, it's sad.
The thing is that the striping in the arena with the seats, it gets very noticeable. Wow, that makes sense. Let's try it again. We'll edit that out. The striping in the seats at the Shark Tank gets more and more noticeable as the season goes on, and it's frustrating to see. And you hate to.
It's sad. It's just sad.
Yeah. This team desperately needs something to get excited about. You saw that yesterday, how people were just grasping at the excitement of Eklund's hat trick, Cooley's first win. I'll have a question to ask you once we finish recapping the game, but I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on it. But let's finish up with the recap. Liam O'Brien got it past Blackwood. Ruda was trying to save it, and then it blinked off of Blackwood's skate when he went back to try to cover it up to make it 2-1. That I'm so glad that wasn't the game-winning goal.
Yeah, I mean, see, this is what this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. I don't think Blackwood's been as sharp as he's been, because that puck squeaks through the 5-hole to get there to begin with. It just shouldn't. Right. Like, I mean, unfortunate turn of events after the puck squeaks through, obviously, but like, that puck shouldn't squeak through to begin with.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I would love a goalie competition. That'd be nice. We'll see what happens with Vanacek and among all the kids as well, with the Barracuda and Devin Cooley, indeed. So, second period, the Sharks would tie it up. Luke Cunnin, who I thought had a pretty strong game. He was all over the place today. He gets his 10th of the season run, and Colin Graff gets his first NHL point. So nice to see from him.
Yeah, I mean, Colin Graff, so far so good on that pick. I think it's a nice, it's one of those guys, you never know what you're going to get, right? When you kind of get to these college free agents. Mm-hmm. But I mean, so far so good. I haven't seen enough to say how much, what's good, what's bad or whatever, but I haven't been like, I've never really watched him and got like, oh, what are you doing here? I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Good story. Nice signing for the Sharks. We'll see what comes of it. Again, I don't know. I'm not sure. The jury's still out on him, but so far it looks like a nice pickup for Greer.
Yeah, so far so good. And don't forget the Barracuda. Wow, I see. This is why we have Sundays off, folks.
Yeah.
The Barracuda have a handful of amateur tryouts right now to finish up the year as well. So that'll be interesting to see how those marinate.
Yeah, I mean, again, like the Barracuda, it's been much the same story for them as it's been for the Sharks this year, right? A ton of injuries. They got a ton of injuries right now. A lot of these ATO guys are coming in, and they're basically just filling spots that keep getting opened by guys dropping like flies, unfortunately. And it's kind of been the same story for the Barracuda as it has been for the Sharks in that regard. So the ATOs are welcome, because I think that it's not like they're coming in and they're taking anyone's jobs for the most part. They're coming in and just filling holes that are unfortunately been opened by injury.
Yeah. Dave asking what's a Barracuda.
What's a Barracuda?
Yeah. Probably the
Barracuda.
The Barracuda. Yeah. No, can't do that one. It's when your twist tie. when your tongue is twisted around, you're tired from 4 hours of sleep, and your back and your hip are hurting right now like crazy. That's what that is. Third period, the Desert Dogs would do another painful blow in the third period. Dylan Gunther at 4:56, Clayton Keller with the insurance at 14:13, and then Nick Schmaltz with the empty netter with about with about just a little over 3 minutes to go.
Yeah.
I'll ask you this, dude. I wonder if the conditioning is an issue here, because this, again, I don't know how many times we've seen it in March and April where the Sharks give up 3 goals, and yeah, one of them was an empty netter, but this is a concerning blow for the Sharks, who, as you talked about before we went on the air, minus 133 goal differential.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. I don't know if it's a conditioning thing. Like a lot of teams, you see this with a lot of teams, even good teams, have trouble with the short turnaround back-to-back game.
True.
I don't know if it's like an issue of like these guys aren't in shape per se. I just think that there's been holes in their gameplay. Like, just this has been an issue, but I think it's more of an X's and O's thing than a conditioning thing.
Ooh.
If that makes sense.
No, yeah, I get that. Their planned execution versus just tiredness. And granted, 3 and 4 nights, so there's got to be some fatigue in there as well. So we will see what's going on here.
Dave, I think Dave said it right. It's like, it's not conditioned; they're just tired, and it's fine. It's perfectly normal to be tired in that situation. But I think it's more X's and O's than a conditioning situation.
Yeah. Just the constant is why I bring conditioning up. That's why. Felix, getting the quotes. Appreciate it, buddy. Luke Cunnin on Colin Graff. You can tell he's a smart player. And Thrun says he's been playing with Graff since they were 8 or 9.
Oh, jeez.
So, instant chemistry. We got it.
Yeah,
bring all the kids up. Yes. Thrun on Graff. I mean, he was always a good player. But he was one of those guys you remember being like, oh, that's the small kid.
Right. Yeah. And that's, and does that surprise me that, again, NHL GMs, they love their size. So, as the old saying goes, it's the big player has to prove he can't play in the league, and the little player has to prove he can.
Yeah. I completely agree. Granted, I want that growth spurt that he had. He went from 5'8" to 6'1" in like a year. Are you kidding me? Nice, dude. Nice. So
I think we're all done growing, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. Damn it. All right. So the Sharks lose 5-2 to the Arizona Coyotes. Again, as we mentioned, because of the loss, they now are assured at least the 31st place in the league. Their magic number for 32nd overall, in other words, the best draft lottery odds, is at 4. You take the combination of points gained by Chicago and the points lost by San Jose to get that. Now, granted, the reason why I originally had 3 is because if Chicago picks up a victory, the Sharks cannot catch them at all, even if they were to win.
Which would be amazing.
Well,
I mean, the Sharks have to start losing when the Blackhawks, when they have to stop matching their wins. That would help too, right? I feel really good about this though. Like in order for the Sharks to get past Chicago, they would have to go on a run that they haven't gone on all. Like, they've never.
Right.
They'd have to go on a run now that hasn't been in them at any point this year. When, I think you have more guys probably at this point looking at, like, what am I doing this summer? Or am I going to the World Championships? More than, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you don't want to call it over until it's over, but I think it's
we're right there. I think one of Hockey Jerk's favorite sayings is from the CNN guy. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. It's like, we're not there yet, but we're getting pretty close. So it could just come down to.
But
I
don't want to. I should say that, and then the Sharks are going to go on a run, and everyone will blame me, which is fine.
But I mean, at least this point, John King. Thank you, Felix. Appreciate that. The 4 points. They lose to Calgary on Tuesday, and then the Blackhawks get the win against St. Louis, who obviously you're going with a younger roster now. It could be over by then, so we shall see.
Could be. We'll see.
So, all right. Well, in that case, in case you missed anything, where do you want to watch this again? Check us out on tealtownusa.com or wherever you get your podcasts. We have to update this graphic because Google Podcasts no longer exists. You can turn to YouTube Music for that, along with SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and a whole bunch more. Again, as we said, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That'll let you know when we do go on the air, just like about less than an hour now. If you're watching us live, 7 p.m., Pucknologists will be here to recap the week that was in Sharks hockey. But in the meantime, I will ask Ian Reed for your final thoughts on this.
When the Sharks do bad, it's good. I mean, it is what it is, right? When the Sharks do bad, it's good. When the Sharks do good, sometimes it's good, but usually at this point, not. Like I said, let's clinch this best. Let's clinch the best odds, and then it doesn't matter what the Sharks do.
And then
Then when the Sharks do something, it's good. Yes. It doesn't even matter at that point. Yes. That's what I want to get to at this point.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. So he's at Ian Blogs Hockey on the Twitter machine. I am at PuckGuy14 on Twitter, Instagram, Memento. If you're into sports,
local media request. Oh, Kalen Addison, what happened there?
Oh yeah,
like he
second
two
game
games in a row. He's been. Is he? I don't know what he's even up to. Like, is he just Mark-Edward Vlasic? Is Vlasic rubbed off on him?
But see, I went back and I even went through the Coyotes feed when I was gifting, and he's like, when the whistle blows, he's like onto the right side, or essentially, if you're watching the game from the main camera angle, then on the near side face-off circle, nobody's around him. Yeah. So I'm wondering if something happened beforehand and they waited till a stoppage in play to call the whistle, and tell him to get up. But I mean, 34 minutes in 2 games. I mean, Link Gates would be very proud of him right now.
I mean, it's so weird because like that just shouldn't be his game. I don't even know what Kalen Addison's game is at this point, to be honest, but it shouldn't be that. All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah. All right. So we will get out of here. I will finish this up really quickly. If the Sharks land the first overall and Celebrini, do you bring the kids up? Do you bring Musty?
I don't know.
Do you bring Smith?
No. Okay, no, Musty you send back to Junior. No, you send to the cap. No.
Come on.
No. No. I think for Celebrini, obviously, I think him and Will Smith should be a package deal. When one jumps, the other should jump with him. I think if one's going to jump, they should both jump. I still think you send Musty back to Junior. Let him play Junior for another year. Well, because he's again, like you want to put guys in positions to succeed. I like Quentin Musty. I think Quentin Musty's a great player.
Yeah.
But I think that people don't realize how hard the jump from junior hockey to the NHL is. And that's the only option for him. It's junior hockey or it's the NHL. There's no Barracuda for him. So
that's a bummer.
I would prefer that we don't try to force things with him, right? He's going to come along, and I think he's going to be a great player for this team. He doesn't need to be a great player for this team tomorrow.
Got it. All right. Fair enough. So thanks for watching. A reminder, Pucknologists at 7 p.m. to recap this week in Sharks hockey. For me and Ian, thanks for watching. Keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a good night.